When you choose no contact with a narcissist, this is the horrible thing they do. You've reached the end of your rope. The emotional whiplash, the constant devaluation, the feeling of being an invisible ghost in your own life. It has all become too much to bear. You have made the courageous and often terrifying decision to implement no contact with the narcissist in your life. This isn't just about ending a relationship. It is a profound act of self-preservation, a declaration of your right to exist and to heal. You might harbor a hope that this silence will bring peace, that by simply walking away, the chaos will dissipate, and you can finally begin to rebuild. But what happens on the other side of that silence? How does a narcissist, who has built their entire sense of self on your attention and your reactivity, respond when you deliberately and unequivocally choose to cut off all communication? Brace yourself, because when you choose no contact with a narcissist, they often resort to a series of calculated, deeply hurtful, and frankly horrible things. These actions aren't a sign of love, regret, or a genuine desire for reconciliation. They are driven by their wounded ego, their insatiable need for control, and a desperate primal scramble to regain the narcissistic supply that was so suddenly and violently severed. If you're about to initiate no contact, or if you are currently in the silent, unsettling aftermath and wondering what might be brewing, then this discussion is not just important, it is vital for your survival. Today, we're going to expose in meticulous detail the 10 horrible things a narcissist often does when faced with your decision to go no contact. Understanding these potential reactions will not only validate the terror and confusion you might be feeling, but it will also arm you with the psychological knowledge to stay strong, protect yourself, and remain steadfast in your unwavering commitment to your own well-being and freedom. Let's bravely, and with unflinching clarity, confront the often ugly and deeply unsettling reality of how a narcissist responds to the imposition of no contact. As we uncover these deeply unsettling yet crucial truths, I humbly invite you to subscribe to our channel, hit that like button to help this enlightening message reach more yearning hearts, and share this video with anyone who is contemplating or currently navigating the challenging and often dangerous terrain of no contact with a narcissist. Your engagement is invaluable and helps us continue to shed light on these critical topics. When you choose no contact, you are essentially severing the emotional and psychological lifeline that the narcissist has come to rely on for their very existence. This act is not simply perceived as a breakup. It is a profound and unforgivable rejection, a significant threat to their fragile ego, their perceived superiority, and their access to a reliable, consistent source of narcissistic supply. Their response is rarely one of acceptance, healthy processing, or a mature reflection on their own behavior. Instead, it often triggers a desperate and often cruel set of behaviors aimed at regaining the control they have lost, punishing you for your perceived defiance, and securing supply from any available source, regardless of the damage they cause. This is not a battle for your heart, it is a pathological war for control and survival. Firstly, one of the most common and immediately impactful horrible things a narcissist does when you choose no contact is to escalate their hoovering attempts to an extreme and relentless level. Hoovering, as you may know, refers to their attempts to suck you back into the relationship, much like a vacuum cleaner. When you initiate no contact, the subtle breadcrumbs or casual, manipulative messages they once sent might morph into a full-blown assault on your boundaries. This can manifest as relentless calls, a flood of text messages, an inbox full of emails from multiple accounts, and a cascade of messages on every social media platform you're on. They might even resort to showing up uninvited at your home, your workplace, or places they know you frequent. The content of these messages and interactions can be overwhelmingly manipulative. They might use guilt trips, feigned emergencies, promises of genuine, life-altering change that are never ever genuine, or even veiled threats to your well-being or their own. The intensity and desperation of these attempts can be overwhelming and are specifically designed to break your resolve and pull you back into their toxic orbit, regardless of the pain they cause. This relentless pursuit is not a sign of love, remorse, or a desire to repair a broken relationship. It is a desperate attempt to re-establish control and secure their lost source of supply at all costs. It's a primal, ego-driven response to a perceived psychological starvation. Secondly, a particularly horrible and deeply damaging tactic a narcissist often employs during no contact is to launch a vicious and widespread smear campaign against you. If they cannot control you directly through communication, they will focus all their energy on controlling the narrative about you to anyone who will listen. They will meticulously spread lies, expertly twist truths, and carefully portray you as the unstable, abusive, or irrational one to anyone in their social circle. Mutual friends, family members, colleagues, and even strangers on social media. The insidious goal of this campaign is to discredit you, to isolate you from your support system, and to garner sympathy and validation for themselves as the long-suffering victim. This smear campaign is a preemptive retaliatory strike to protect their own fragile image and to give a seemingly rational explanation for your absence in a way that makes them look like the innocent party. It is an incredibly hurtful and damaging act, designed to erode your reputation and leave you feeling utterly alone and without a voice in a world they are so desperately trying to poison against you. Thirdly, when faced with your no contact, a narcissist will often aggressively seek out and secure new sources of narcissistic supply, sometimes flaunting these new relationships publicly to try and provoke a reaction from you. The void you left behind is a terrifying abyss for them, and they will scramble to fill it. This could involve quickly entering into a new romantic relationship, or what is often called love bombing, where they shower a new target with an overwhelming amount of attention, affection, and promises. The key, however, is that they will then make sure you are aware of this new person through social media posts, public displays of affection, or by having mutual acquaintances accidentally mention it to you. The intention is not to truly be happy with someone new, but to make you feel jealous, to believe they have moved on to something better, and to trigger you into breaking no contact to compete for their attention. These new connections are rarely genuine or long-lasting. They are primarily a tool to manipulate you and to fill the void left by your absence. They are an object to be used, not a person to be loved. Fourthly, a truly horrible and frightening thing a narcissist might do is to escalate their behavior to stalking or harassment, blurring the lines of boundaries and even the law. When their initial attempts to hoover you back fail, and their smear campaign doesn't elicit the desired response from you or your network, some narcissists escalate to obsessive and intrusive behaviors. This can range from constant online monitoring, where they track your every move on social media, to physical stalking, sending unwanted gifts to your home, or even enlisting others, flying monkeys, to gather information about you. This behavior is not a sign of longing. It is driven by their pathological inability to accept your rejection and their desperate, terrifying need to maintain some form of connection or control over your life. It can be deeply unsettling, fear-inducing, and even dangerous, leaving you feeling perpetually unsafe and violated. Fifthly, to try and break your no contact, a narcissist might feign a crisis or an emergency, playing on your empathy and sense of responsibility. They might craft a dramatic narrative, claiming to be seriously ill, facing financial ruin, or dealing with a family tragedy, hoping that your natural human compassion and sense of decency will compel you to reach out. These crises are often completely fabricated or wildly exaggerated to manipulate you into breaking your silence and re-engaging. They will use your past history of being a caregiver or your fundamental kindness as a weapon against you. Once contact is re-established, they can then try to pull you back into the old dynamic, having successfully proven to themselves that they still hold power over your emotions. It's a cruel and despicable tactic that exploits your good nature and empathy for their own selfish and pathological gain. Sixthly, a particularly horrible and damaging maneuver is when a narcissist attempts to manipulate your loved ones, your friends, family, or even your children, to get to you or to turn them against you. They will attempt to sow seeds of doubt about your mental state or your reasons for leaving. They might try to poison the well by telling your family members that you're being unreasonable or that you're the one who is causing all the problems. They might also try to use your loved ones as unwitting intermediaries to relay messages, pressure you to reconnect, or guilt-trip you into breaking no contact. This tactic is specifically designed to undermine your support system and create further chaos and division in your life, making you feel isolated, alone, and more vulnerable to their desperate attempts to hoover you back. Seventhly, a narcissist might threaten or actually take legal action against you, even if there is no legitimate reason to do so. This can be a terrifying and emotionally exhausting tactic, especially if there are shared finances, property, or children involved. They might use legal processes as a form of harassment, intimidation, and control, hoping to wear you down emotionally and financially and force you to re-engage with them. They will weaponize the legal system, not to seek justice, but to inflict punishment and maintain a connection, however hostile. These legal battles are often drawn out, emotionally draining, and serve primarily as a tool for manipulation and a continuation of the abuse, disguised as a legitimate dispute. Eighthly, when confronted with the reality of no contact, a narcissist will often play the victim to a grand and elaborate degree, portraying themselves as heartbroken, misunderstood, and unfairly abandoned. This victim act is a manipulative strategy to garner sympathy and narcissistic supply from new sources and to try to make you feel guilty for hurting them. They will often completely disregard their own abusive behaviors and portray themselves as the innocent, long-suffering party in the situation. This can be particularly jarring for you, as it is a complete rewrite of history, and it can create a cognitive dissonance where you begin to question your own memories and your decision. This emotional blackmail is designed to make you feel responsible for their pain and to compel you to break no contact to alleviate their supposed suffering. Ninthly, a horrible and deeply unsettling thing a narcissist might do is to mimic or appropriate aspects of your life, your interests, or even your new relationships in an attempt to confuse you or to suggest that they are somehow still connected to you or living a better version of your life. This can be particularly disturbing and can leave you feeling as though your identity is being stolen. They might suddenly take up your hobbies, frequent your favorite places, or even try to form relationships with people who are strikingly similar to your new partner, all in a twisted attempt to stay relevant in your world and to demonstrate their perceived superiority. This behavior is a form of boundary violation and a desperate attempt to show that they are still a part of your reality, even when you have removed them. Finally, when all other tactics fail and they realize that your no contact is firm and final, a narcissist might engage in a final, dramatic, and sometimes even dangerous grand finale, designed to elicit a reaction or to leave a lasting negative impact on your life. This could range from a public outburst or a dramatic confrontation to more extreme and frightening measures aimed at punishing you for your perceived betrayal. While not all narcissists will escalate to this level, it's a potential and horrible outcome driven by their ultimate frustration and their complete inability to accept their loss of control. The grand finale is their last-ditch effort to prove that they still matter, that they still hold power, and that their ego will not be defeated without a fight. These 10 horrible things are not exhaustive, and the specific behaviors a narcissist engages in during no contact can vary depending on their individual personality, the dynamics of the relationship, and their level of desperation. However, they all share a common thread, a desperate and often cruel attempt to regain control, secure narcissistic supply, and punish you for daring to break free. If recognizing these horrible things a narcissist often does when you choose no contact has brought clarity and validation to your own experiences, please remember this crucial truth. Their actions are not a reflection of your worth or your decision. They are a direct result of their own deeply ingrained pathology and their inability to cope with the loss of control and supply. Your choice of no contact is not a cruel act. It is a powerful and necessary act of self-preservation, and their negative reactions only underscore the validity and the profound importance of your decision. Do not be swayed by their manipulative hoovering, their venomous smear campaigns, their feigned crises, or their desperate attempts to guilt-trip you back into their toxic orbit. Remain steadfast in your boundaries, continue to prioritize your own healing and well-being, and trust in your strength and your resilience. The peace and freedom that no contact can bring are worth enduring these difficult and often painful challenges. Your commitment to yourself is the most powerful act you can ever undertake. Thank you for joining us today, for bravely confronting these often unsettling realities, and for empowering yourselves with the knowledge to navigate the difficult but ultimately liberating path of no contact with a narcissist.